Hey everybody, welcome to the Crohn's Fitness Food Podcast, dedicated to raising awareness, sharing IBD stories, and offering support for those with Crohn's and colitis. Together, we can share knowledge, experiences, and help show the world the many faces of IBD. Well, hi everyone. Thank you for joining me today for another episode of the Crohn's Fitness Food Podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Gish, Crohn's warrior since 2006 and lifelong fitness fanatic. My guest today is Sylvia Tam. She's an ulcerative colitis warrior who spent 9 years working in the gluten-free food industry and is now bringing her expertise to the Crohn's and colitis community. She's the founder of Beviva Foods, which you might recognize as the Purpo products, and she's committed to creating innovative snack solutions for those of us with IBD. Thank you so much for joining me today, Sylvia, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here and to hear your story and your journey and all about Beviva Foods. But before we do that, as you know, as a listener, why don't you go ahead and start by sharing your IBD story and a little bit about when you had your first symptoms and how your diagnosis came about?
Sure. So I am currently a mom of 3, and I'm quite proud of that because it does take a lot of work as a parent of one that has IBD. But leading back, a lot of times I think of how kids, because I initially, when I first saw blood in my stool was when I was a teen. So that time I had, requested doctor's appointments. And by the time I got my specialist appointment, the bleeding had stopped. And the doctor said, "Oh, come back when it starts bleeding again." Well, I never actually went back. It was probably like 10 years or even more that I then went to the doctor and said, "Hey, I see it bleeding." And then they said, "Okay, let's do a colonoscopy." And that's when I got diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. I wasn't completely alarmed because I do have members in my family, an uncle and a cousin who also have IBD, but it sometimes dawns on you when you realize that you have it. And my first reaction was, okay, go online. Let's do search. What else can I do other than take medicine? So by the sounds of that, I basically didn't even look at what medication he gave me because my mind was so set on trying to find other ways.
Now, I'm going to jump in real quick. You mentioned you had other families with IBD, family members. Were any of them on medications or not? Did they
both
kind of influence?
Okay. Yes, they were both on medication.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So tell me, I think you were about to get into it, but go ahead and tell me about that journey. What happened then when you just knew right away you were not going to get on medication? So kind of what happened at that point?
I didn't completely say no to it, but I didn't want to just agree to take it because I know that usually you take that for quite a long time. And I did lots of research. As from childhood, my parents always raised me with taking lots of herbal medication, or I didn't say medication, lots of herbs. And we would be traditional where we would take the herbs. It's usually a combination of like 15 or 20 different ingredients. You boil it in hot water. It's probably about 2 hours that you boil it, and then you drink it. And it's probably the most disgusting thing I've had. It's terrible.
Really?
Yeah. And so I never looked forward to it. As a child, when I got a cold, I would sit there dreading to drink it. But now that I'm older, I see where my parents were coming from. And so I then decided to go to my herbalist who I trusted because she's given me so much other incidents where she has healed me. And then I started to teach or learn from her as to how I should be changing my eating lifestyle, what my diet should be like, and also having some herbs on hand when I did have a flare. So a lot of that really helped. I also looked into an exercise called qigong. It's spelled Qi. It's spelled Qigong, and it's all about flow of energy. And then that was also something that I looked into. But overall, I think my biggest take with flares is you really have to just be mindful as a habit of your stress levels, as well as just taking care of your diet, your eating, because ultimately that's the fuel in our body. If you can't keep your mind on your body, then who is, right? So,
Yeah.
and not being mindful is also a habit where you disregard how your stomach is saying, I'm hungry. Not, not being, not eating when you're hungry is probably one of the things I try to tell my children. To
Hmm.
eat when you're not hungry means you're keeping your body without that, your gauge with that light turning on. You don't want to have your body telling you because it's too low at that point. And so just making sure that your body is at a, um, we'll go into a little bit more afterwards when we talk more about food, but just
Hmm.
kind of keeping, that's really what led up to, where I am, where I haven't taken any medication. Just managing through my lifestyle and my diet pretty much has helped me through the past years.
And how long did it take from when you got your diagnosis? Obviously, the bleeding had come back, and after the colonoscopy, how long did it take until your symptoms of ulcerative colitis had really started to settle down? And did you have to tell me a little bit more about the herbs and kind of what that process took to really get everything under control?
It took about, I would say, about a year to get everything settled where I was in a little bit more control of the flares. That
Hmm.
way I didn't, like before, I would just eat everything. I mean, I didn't really have, I was healthy eater, but I didn't really have any restrictions as to what I didn't eat. And so the whole changing of the diet, removing certain things and just, really is being mindful, knowing that I have this disease. The one thing I didn't do is I didn't share it with anybody though. So I didn't
Hmm.
tell anybody. And a lot of the journey of this change was all within myself and my family. When I traveled for business and I got to the trade show or went to a meeting, me feeling terrible inside, I didn't tell people, why I could not go to dinner or why I could not do certain things. I was so tired. So, that really, I think that may have delayed my healing. But other than that, it was pretty much a year and I already got a good handle of how to control the flares.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And what did it look like? You mentioned your diet was before you weren't paying attention to anything. So did you start over that course of the year? Did you do anything like keep a food journal? And then did you end up, were there certain things that you knew you needed to cut out and different foods you needed to bring in?
I did. So I was advised to, first of all, eat little and often, which meant that I was eating every 2 to 3 hours. I'd be putting something in my mouth and making sure that I didn't get hungry, where if you get hungry, then you might overeat.
Hmm.
Or eat the wrong things. Also, skipping meals was my most popular reason for having
Yeah.
flares. Yeah, you probably are too. When you work and you're into something and you want to finish things, you kind of put eating aside, and then that becomes the trigger because then you get over hungry and you eat, but your stomach's already bloated, and then the evening is just at that point I can't even eat anymore. So and then following that would be the diet, which again, as you say often, everybody is different. But
Hmm.
for me, I regularly drink lemon water, warm
Hmm.
lemon water. So I have one actually right now. I'm always sipping on that throughout the day because my understanding is that the lemon also helps with alkalining your digestive system in there. Not sugar lemon water though, just lemon
Hmm.
water.
Do you
Um,
do like just a half a lemon or a whole lemon? You squeeze that in?
you could do that, or I just kind of like the look of having a couple lemons in there. So I just
Yeah.
slice a couple lemons and I change it throughout the day. Just, and warm is also key too, not cold. So warm, ginger tea when I do feel bloated. So taking ginger and just boiling it or steeping it, that helps a lot. And then also turmeric with almond milk, I drink a lot.
Hmm.
So a lot of liquids, I think. Just I feel like because when you're busy, it's easier to drink something than to eat something.
Hmm.
And I also drink smoothies. which I don't drink them too cold, but I do put as much as I can in there, like spinach, um, beets. I put, apples and everything I can think of, and I just feel better that I've had some nutrients in that drink. So that helps a lot. But speaking of, what I don't use would be caffeine, alcohol, and spicy foods, which thankfully I've never actually been into any of those.
I was
But
just going to ask, was it hard to cut those out, or
no,
was
not at
it?
all. Thankfully, yeah, I've never had those three before, anyways. But that's what I've been told is to recommend not using those if anyone does have digestive issues.
Hmm.
I think that's kind of a given. But some of the other things that might be unusual for people to hear is I have trouble with raw vegetables. So, raw
Yeah.
vegetables, cruciferous vegetables, legumes, dairy, tomatoes, seeds, things with lots of seeds and fruits, and eating their skin. And then those were things that I've over the years have already kind of trained myself to stay away from. Not to say that occasionally I can't eat a little bit of broccoli because I miss it,
Yeah.
right? It's okay. But one of the one things that's really ironic is I never cut gluten because
Oh, really?
I actually worked in a factory that made gluten-free foods, but I felt like, oh, if I take out gluten, how am I going to cook for my family? How is it going to be possible that I can maintain it? I would just ignore
Hmm.
it. So I worked everything through my diet. I changed everything. I didn't cut gluten until I stopped working as a full-time job and I was on my own and I started to try it. I tried it for about 3 weeks and I had a realization that, oh my gosh, even that one tiny percent of that blowingness is gone too.
Wow.
Yeah,
So it did make a difference once you finally decided to go ahead and cut that out.
it did. And I just kind of hit myself like, are you kidding me, Sylvia? You've been doing gluten-free for so long. And you didn't even wanna go try, and yes, I was resisting it because I didn't think it'd be possible, but thankfully, I've found a way. My family is very supportive. My husband cooks the way I eat. He cooks separately for the kids. The kids always find restaurants that we can all eat, so there goes Italian food. We
Uh-huh.
don't eat Italian food anymore because I can't eat tomatoes, dairy, or gluten, except for the ones that you can make your own pizzas, and those are great because you can make everything yourself with no cheese. So that part is great. But yeah, so really, and the whole idea that I've learned through being more educated since I knew about IBD and my business is that wow, I didn't realize that your gut actually is like your second brain.
Yeah.
Right? There are, and this is all from like things I've learned from experts that gut feeling that we say is not to say with like lightness. That gut feeling is because there's like 400 million neurons in our gut. That's enough of a small dog
Isn't
neuron,
that amazing?
right? And our gut actually that brain will continue to survive even if our brain stopped.
That's
And
incredible.
yeah, and so although, we keep thinking about our mind up here, well, we should really focus on down there because a lot of the immune diseases, a
Hmm.
lot of things comes from our gut. Now, I've one question I always ask people is really cute is what emotion do you think your stomach holds, Stephanie?
No.
What do you think?
That is uh depends on the day. Sometimes anger.
Yeah,
Sometimes calmness, but
right.
what kind of answers do you usually get when you ask?
Well, they look at me like, "What do you mean emotions?" What do
Hmm.
you mean? Well, my understanding is that your stomach holds thoughts, stress, and anxiety. So if your life
Ah,
has any one of those things, your digestive system is affected. And in our
yes.
modern day, I don't think there's anybody that doesn't have any of those. So
I don't think
that's
so.
right. So that's why and so most of the people I talk to when I tell them what I do, and then they get so curious to ask me, well, I have digestive. I think I've been doing dairy free because of the same reason. And I think it
Hmm.
all comes down to, what our emotions do to our bodies. Like, for example, liver holds anger. So, problems with people who are angry usually have liver problems, weak livers. Um, yeah, 95% of our happiness is determined by our gut condition.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah, serotonin, all that being,
Hmm.
created in there is, it really tells us, if we're going to be sick, are we going to be immune to viruses? The quality of our blood also is going into, a lot of it is going to our gut. Like everything is tied into it. And then when I realized that, I said, oh my goodness. So nobody knows that. Like,
Well, and it's so interesting because it seems like we're just now barely scratching the surface of all of this research and interest into the gut, the microbiome, and how it affects all of the rest of our organs, and just how it really does play a significant role in our health. And so I think it's going to be fascinating another 10, 20 years.
yeah, and it will be. I think it's also beneficial because while we're healing or learning to heal our gut, we're also healing our minds. Like our
Yeah.
overall health um, will be improved because just like how I always say, gluten-free foods only needs the gluten out. But nowadays, when you pick up a gluten-free product, you have so much healthy attributes to that product. Right?
Yes, there really are.
Yeah, so now if we heal our gut and learn to manage our stress and all of that, then everything else, our skin will get better, our joints will get better, everything will just kind of come into place. So I think we're at a better, we are, I think health wise, our people will be more able to manage a lot more as opposed to taking medication for those symptoms, which are all leading because of the gut,
Yeah, there's
right?
so much that our gut plays into it. I want
Right.
to touch on a couple of things you mentioned. I want you to pull out a few things and talk a little bit more into detail. But you mentioned that you eat a little bit differently from what the rest of your family does. Your husband cooks a lot for the kids. How is that kind of juggling the different diets for you versus the kids? And what are maybe some tips that you might have for other people who want to maybe tailor a little bit more what they're doing for their own diet, but not sure what to do or how to make that work for a family? What are some tips that you found to be helpful?
I think, for one, actually, come to think of it, my family has been trying to bring our diets closer together by finding
Hmm.
kind of like almost like a Venn diagram. What foods
Hmm.
can we all enjoy? And then what are the foods where I just have to make a slight modification and we can, I mean, for example, I don't eat cheese. And so, but the kids love cheese. So,
Hmm.
when I get a chance, I will have one with no cheese. I'll have it with cheese. But, for example, pasta. I don't eat a whole lot of pasta, to be honest. But if I do, I will eat the gluten-free pasta. And with so many great pastas out there, it's not as difficult as it would be before. But I think ideally, though, all of us are trying to eat more plant-based foods. And so that's where we have something in common. I recently actually my mom got it for me because she knows I don't have time to cook. I got one of those
Hmm.
all in one air fryer, pressure. It just does
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
Yeah. And I can throw in a couple of sweet potatoes in there for 40 minutes. And then I just take it out and I can just eat it as it is. And it saves me a lot of time, like things like okra, which I would never think I would make because I don't really like okra, but it's also very good for our digestion system. And so I found okra that's frozen, that's already cut up. I just throw them into the machine and then air fry them. And then the kids love them. So, we've taken those kinds of vegetables, make it something that's easy, and even having the kids learn to make their own food has been really good because now they know that if they can cook for themselves, I have one less thing to worry about. And so, they've really been very helpful in that way.
Those
Yeah,
are fantastic
and the good thing
tips.
too, sorry, the good thing too is because I have a Chinese background, rice is a
Hmm.
staple for us, and so you could put anything on rice. So,
Hmm.
we just have this one rice, we put it in, we put all our vegetables in there, it just cooks, and then, we can just take it from there. So something, I think all in is usually kind of my tip these days is to make it where the kids can make their own food, and then we can all enjoy more healthy foods, like smoothies are also great. We all drink the same
Hmm.
smoothie. I just don't put things that they would put in. Like if they were to put in a yogurt, I would put in like a dairy-free yogurt, and we can
Hmm.
still, enjoy the same thing. That's been really great.
That's fantastic. Those are wonderful tips and keeping it easy and simple and fun. And I love the idea that you're teaching the kids to cook too, because those are incredible life lessons for them to learn. Plus, you're keeping them healthy and teaching them to eat healthier so that they can have those habits for the rest of their life, which is great
Right.
too.
And so because I have 3 kids, we've kind of, we just last week talked about this where my son is all into Mediterranean cooking.
Hmm.
My daughter likes to bake, so she bakes gluten-free for me, and my
Hmm.
youngest, she's like, "Well, what about me?" And she's 10,
Oh.
and so we're like,
Hmm.
"You know what? You'll be the drink maker." So she can make the smoothies and, make all the different drinks for us. So we kind of all
Oh,
have
how
somebody
fun.
assigned to something kind of as a specialized or an expert at, and that gives them some confidence.
That's fun. I love that.
Yeah.
So, I want to talk a little bit more about herbs. You'd mentioned a little bit earlier when you do go into a flare that you find there's some specific herbs that help with that. Is there anything, um, or are there any specific herbs that do help when you go into a flare or maybe you feel those symptoms coming on?
Well, usually the herbs that are given to me, they actually all write in Chinese, like the very traditional kind, and I can't really read what they're writing. Usually, I just like, "Okay, let's just put it in the pot," and it's all different things. They're all very interesting looking. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly what they are, which would have been very interesting if I actually pulled it out and tried to identify each one. But
Hmm.
generally speaking, the common ones would be things like, turmeric, right? So the curcumin
Hmm.
in it has had lots of research done on it, and so that on a regular basis, drink it or take in with some kind of, fatty, like, if it's like a milk or not, it could be a milk or I use dairy-free milk, is best absorbed that way. Ginger also has lots of, helps with the digestive in terms of balancing what's going on. So because what happens really is, in Chinese medicine, the idea behind why we have IBD has a couple different areas. One are deficiencies in our spleen, which is very, very rarely talked about. Spleen and our kidney, because the
Hmm.
spleen is where the food that we eat transforms and transports to all the other parts of our body. But, if we don't eat properly, we end up malabsorbing the foods, and then having malnutrition, which then causes us to have tired or fatigue, poor digestion, poor appetite, diarrhea, all of those then happen. So that's
Hmm.
one area. So that's why, what we eat is also key. I think what we eat a lot of here in America and Europe is we eat a lot of raw foods and cold foods, and those actually end up affecting our spleen and
In a good or a negative
in a
way?
negative way.
Hmm.
And so it stops it from being able to do its job well, which is to transform and transport those nutrients.
So, do you do any fermented foods? Just thinking of raw foods. I imagine the fermenting would maybe be, well, it is a good way to not eat the raw food, but even though it's raw, it helps to pre-digest it. Do you do much with ferments?
I haven't really explored fermented foods.
Hmm.
That's one thing I actually should learn and look into more, understand how that applies between the raw and then because it's fermented, it's a different process.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that's why, from those things, then they in the Chinese medicine perspective, it's all about having something called
Hmm.
dampness and heat in your intestine. And that's where all those other things trickle down in terms of, diarrhea, and there's blood, and, your abdominal pains. It's all because of this dampness. And one of the ways is to eat more warm foods and doing more things that are helping you have a warm gut and a cold head, because ultimately your head is where all the heat releases, right? Through your eyes.
Hmm.
And so having your head cool and your warm gut is the best state for our body whether we have IBD or not, to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that our body is functioning at its best. And so back to your talking about the herbs, a lot of the herbs do that is to help you balance that dampness, to take it out, to detoxify, and then help your original organs perform its best as opposed to trying to take away the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Excellent. So, one last thing before we jump kind of back into foods, and then I want you to start talking about your company a little bit. But you mentioned the lifestyle and mindfulness. So what are some of the practices you do that you have found to be helpful in managing IBD
Hmm.
that are those mindfulness related things? Do you do any sort of meditating or just kind of make sure that you're aware and present during your moments throughout the day?
Right. So one of the things I have on my wall, which everyone that comes in the house can see, is my favorite quote. Maybe you've heard of it already. It's a very popular one. So I have, "Life's not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain." And I have a
Yes.
painting with the famous painting of them dancing in the rain with the umbrella. And that's pretty much my reminder every day that it's never gonna be over. You know,
Hmm.
the things will just keep coming. Your inbox will never be empty. You just have to find a way to balance it. And through some mentors that I've been learning from, I've learned an approach to kind of follow the 4 Bs. So the first one is body, the second one is being, balance, and then business. That kind of helps me manage what you were saying, like family, kids, work, IBD. So the body is really to create some realistic habits and be real to myself and knowing where am I at for everything. Like reality kicks in when you actually sit there and you ask yourself, well, how do I feel right now? And really, what do I want to do with this area like 5 years from now? And from there, I started to go to the gym more often. I usually would always kind of be like, oh, I got work to do. I can't go to the gym. Or, oh, the kids have a
Hmm.
schedule. I can't go to the gym. So I've been able to put in place a routine to go to the gym the first thing after I drop off the kids, get it out. If I can't go, I'll go walk my dog, whatever it takes to get that in so I can give myself a check. You did it. So consistency with the body, being would be on more of a meditation standpoint because it's, like a workout for your mind. Although it's sometimes hard to fall asleep, I have to say. Once in a while, I do
Hmm.
catch myself, but I do try to get in some. And there are a lot of great apps that help with that, with guided apps that kind of help you think. And it's almost like a gut meditation. Like you kind of feel you're thinking about your stomach and your intestines, and you're almost
Hmm.
like really mentally working your mind and your second brain and your first brain all together.
Hmm.
So it's a great feeling. Then balance. So with it being always so go go go, it's important for me to let my family know that I'm here for them, and it's a practice of mine to leave little messages in their lunch boxes. My daughter always says, "My friends say you're so lucky to have these notes,"
Aw.
and that is nice. My daughter is in high school, so I send her text messages, hoping that everything is going well with her and how proud I am of her. My son is very mature for his age, and so sometimes for him it's really just listening him out about all the things that are in his mind. And then for my
Hmm.
husband, everyone has a different way of loving others, a different love language. And
Hmm.
so I think that's really important to understand is each person, how do they react? Some people just want to, get gifts. Some people want to spend time. So my husband, he just wants to like do things together. So
Hmm.
we try to have date nights and try to keep ourselves in tune of our long bigger picture, and so that balances us and that keeps me from the anxiety. Oh no, I haven't done this in a long time. Oh no, I haven't, I wonder how that person's feeling. I don't have that because they know that I'm always thinking of them, even though I'm not doing anything particularly, because I might be, not feeling well, or I might be too busy with my, my work.
Yeah.
So that's been really great. And then the last one is simply discovering and declaring, which is just being always wanting to learn. So if you learn one thing today, try to declare it, try to tell somebody about it. And then you're spreading that as well as really remembering it because you've just told somebody what you learned.
I
So,
love all that.
yeah.
What a great way to kind of organize life and to just where to put your focus and to really balance it all. It really does kind of give it all this almost like you can just breathe. Like here's how it all lays out.
Yeah, because otherwise we just keep going. There's so much in our lives. We have to be like strategically planning our life. Just like
Yeah.
a business, we have departments in our personal life. And so guiding that focus and that energy to knowing how am I doing in each, you're the CEO of your own life. And to
Yeah.
know of those four B's, which area is lacking, we need to focus in that area until it comes back up, and then you can focus in other areas. And I think if we try to do it that way, it takes away that unknown question mark is like, how am I doing? You actually see it, you can actually visualize it, and then takes away the anxiety, which usually prevents us from doing, better than we thought we could.
Love it. We're going to take a quick break here and we'll be right back with the rest of our interview. I'm picky about the way my clothes fit, especially leggings. So many brands either sit awkwardly or pinch around my waist, which is why I was pleasantly surprised to discover how comfortable my pineapple clothing leggings are. They're silky smooth, soft, and feel like a second skin. I love them so much, they're actually the only thing I wear outside of work now. Going to the movies, working out, or lounging around the house, I'm always in my pineapple pants. Plus, they have lots of great styles, from simple black to fun holiday patterns. Visit cronsfitnessfood.com/pineapple and use code STEGIS for 20% off your order and find out for yourself how great these leggings are. And now, back to the show. Well, let's focus on that fourth B, that business, for a little bit here. And obviously for you, food is critical in managing your IBD. That's how you're managing it. So tell me about your company, Beviva Foods, which is really the fifth B.
That's true. It is other B.
Tell me about that journey. You come from, I think you said 9 years in the gluten-free food industry, and you finally were able to turn all of that expertise into starting this company. So tell me a little bit about that journey. What sparked the idea and how you started to take on this endeavor and kind of what it is?
Okay, so back in 2016 was when I started more doing independent work because my children were getting a little bit older. I always believe that the older they are, the more time you need to spend with them, just to keep they know that mom and dad are there. So at that point, unfortunately, when you let go and loosen up your schedule and your lifestyle, then things start to come out. Health issues start to come up. So I then discovered something that I had to get corrected. I did have some surgery and I was ending up in bed for over a month because of some complications. But the funniest thing is, I've never actually done that before in my life. I've never sat in bed and not done anything. It was really, really awkward for me. But I started to do some research on what I had, which was, the colitis. I've never done so much research before in my life. And then I realized that, wow, I didn't know the IBD was so prominent and so much was going on and talked about online. And there was a Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. Wow, I didn't know all of that. So I then decided that maybe I should start helping people like myself who, whatever strategy they're using to help them, I think I can help them with one of the problems I've had, which is never being able to find, foods that are easy to make. I could just grab it. One of the biggest thing for me was on the plane because I could never take my cereal on the plane with me. they wouldn't let me bring in my own milk, and they were either not available or too expensive at the airports. You know how that feels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then another problem I always had was I can't take my sweet potatoes out to eat because they usually don't taste that great. They're usually kind of
Mhm.
soggy and they're cold. So then I started to think, and I even actually, I even went on a wheelchair. I had my
Mhm.
husband take me to a natural product expo
Mm.
and walk this huge show that I go to every year, but I was insisting I had to go and I did it. And that sparked all these other things in my mind that I kind of start to figure out what I wanted to create, which was a cereal that I could eat on the go that had the milk I could take on the plane that I didn't have to cook. I just add water because I always have water on me.
Yeah.
So that's when I started to create the company. The company is called Beviva, and it actually is my true heart in that name because it's the name of my three kids, Benjamin, Vianney, and Vanessa.
I love it.
So that name really represents who our family is. The kangaroo that you might see in our packaging. No, we're not
Mhm.
from Australia. I get that asked all the time.
Mhm. Oh.
But it was something I had to think of that well represented the busy mom that I was and who needed to carry the snacks in my bag or my pouch at all
Oh.
times. And when I had my cousin help me with designing the logo, weirdly enough, the stomach area with the pouch ended up looking like a heart in the digestive system. So
Mhm.
that kind of all kind of was meant to be that I know what my mission is. I need to help people have foods that they can take with them. They don't have to stress finding snacks they can eat and they can just enjoy life and enjoy their passions. So that's really what my goal is to do that as such. And so in 2018, after a whole year of researching, developing, trial and error, I traveled to Taiwan many times to explore and test the product, packaging methods, all sorts of things. I launched the first product in April of 2018, which was last year. I launched my first website. I started telling people about it. But the biggest thing was actually going to people face to face, having people
Mhm.
try it at events and getting their feedback. I went to consumer events, plant based shows. I went to Crohn's and colitis events. I went to food service, food event, business events. I even went to a functional food conference with many research doctors there who tried the
Oh, wow.
product. I did a lot of research, just consumer marketing and business marketing. And I said, wait, I have to stop for a second. I think I
Mhm.
can do better than this. So I spent another 6 months redeveloping the product
Oh,
to the
wow.
point where I'm more comfortable that it is something that's really more digestive friendly. I took out sugar. I use organic gluten free oats. I added pre and probiotics, added the fiber content to boost it up,
Mhm.
and really just it just tasted even better. So with all those, I then officially did my first official run of my products and then added two more items to it because people were asking to eat the cereal at home, which I
Mhm.
should mention purple. Purple stands for purple sweet potatoes. And so
Mhm.
being able to enjoy at home and also having something that the people can drive and eat has been a common request. So I
Uh-huh.
came out with a sweet potato medley, which are vacuum fried chips. So they're much more
Mhm.
healthy. But if in case listeners are wondering why did I even choose purple sweet potatoes as the main ingredient, I actually wrote an abstract for the Functional Foods um, publication about
Oh.
why purple sweet potatoes are an ideal snack for people with IBD. And so if anybody wants that, to receive that, I can definitely email it to them. But
Yeah. Is that something I can link into the show notes or something like that?
it's
Or
actually in a book. So I only have it in a
okay.
book, but I could definitely, share that because I then learned that, yeah, it is a very good food choice because the purple, and I always say I've just discovered a new way to tell people to just go purple, which actually came from a
Hmm.
customer, and snack with purpose also came from a customer. They've
Hmm.
been the ones that have been helping me come up with these slogans because purple foods they have a bioactive compound called anthocyanins. And
Hmm.
they are actually great for preventing cancer cells from spreading. On top of
Mm.
that, they have a lot of anti-inflammatory benefits. Just the list goes on with the vitamins and the nutrients. It's great for your eyes. It's great for your blood because we lose so much blood. I think the American Heart Foundation was saying that it's like one of the best foods for your iron, and it's also great for helping with anxiety. So there's just so much from purple sweet potatoes, and it was perfect because
And
I love
you,
the color purple, so it's perfect.
yeah, especially for IBD, it was meant to be.
Oh my goodness, yes, I didn't even know that until afterwards.
It was meant to be.
It was,
And
it
you've
was.
got the purple sweet potatoes are in all of your products, correct? They're
Yes,
in the cereal, the obviously the sweet potato medley. You mentioned that once you revamped everything, you kind of relaunched everything and now it's very digestive friendly. When did you do
yes.
that? Was that in 2019 or the end of 2018 that you brought the new products out and was revamping it?
It was actually just this summer. So only
Wow.
a few months ago, when I actually physically was in Taiwan, I'm very detailed. So I was there all the way from point one to point 10. Like I just made sure everything came in exactly the way I wanted it. I'm very fortunate. I feel very fortunate that I've been working with amazing people. If it
Hmm.
wasn't for them and the new people that I've met in my life since the Beviva, I would not have been so much more knowledgeable and been able to create such a product. Because as much as I see, when you look at the water, it's half full or half empty.
Hmm.
As an entrepreneur, I'm often seeing it as half empty because I have so much have to do. I can't get to everything. But I have to reflect back that it is half full because I've gotten this far, and pretty much it's just myself and my husband, and that's pretty much it. So
That's amazing.
yeah, so I
And
tell myself that all the time.
now, did you have to learn everything? I know you came from the gluten-free food industry, but did you have any sort of background with launching the business or doing the advertising, marketing, all of that side of it? Or was all of this you're learning as you go and taking it on?
I would say that definitely has helped because I'm not starting from like nothing, like no experience.
Hmm.
So I understand the R&D side of things. I understand the logistics, packaging, design. So I understand also the marketplace in terms of what people look for. And I had a leading edge there as a new entrepreneur. But in terms of marketing and sales, my experience has been very different. I was in sales and marketing before, but I now see it from a totally different angle because of Beviva, I've learned to use Instagram. I never used
Hmm.
Instagram before, but because of that, IBD is much more prominent on Instagram. I've noticed
Yes.
than in other platforms. So now I understand how I can communicate with my audience and what is worth a small business to invest in. You know,
Yeah.
advertisement can be from all angles, and so many companies have come out with applications and tools and events to help small businesses, which I never explored before. And so I love talking to other entrepreneurs because we love to exchange the tools that we use, even
Hmm.
from becoming parts of groups, Facebook groups that are all about small businesses. And you can get so much information just by a quick conversation with somebody and asking questions. So yes, it definitely has made a huge difference. I've done sales and marketing much more efficient and more effective. Um, in terms of meeting with wholesalers, that's always going to be continuous, as opposed to, like, always have to focus on meeting the customer and what they need before you think about selling them. And so, nothing changes there. You always have to be learning about the other person first. But generally, yeah, I see definitely it's helped a lot, but it's come a long way because I've been able to do it at my own pace. So I can actually do more research, and for the better of the company, Beviva can look more of the brand that I want it to be, because I'm not trying to do everything. I just want to do
Yeah.
one thing, and I want to make that one thing successful. So focus has really helped.
It's so incredible. It seems like you've climbed Mount Everest in this past year. I don't think I would have any idea on where to even start. And so it's just incredible how fast and how much you've put into this. It's just from the research and developing the product and coming out with it, and to have it here now. So incredible. And
Well, I didn't mention that Mount Everest took lots of white hairs. So my daughter is always helping me with that. I try my
I,
best.
I
Yeah, I try
believe
my best.
it.
But, certain things, I mean, I feel like internally, though, I feel like I am, I don't usually get excited about birthdays. But these
Hmm.
days I'm thinking, you know what? I should celebrate my birthday because, being healthier and feeling good and having, my
Yes,
kids, that's all worth celebrating. So I'm doing a birthday marathon this year. I'm
that's
going to
awesome.
I'm going to do one little thing each day, just before and after, so that it feels like a whole week of little things, like getting pictures done with my kids, or going out and getting
Yeah,
a new outfit for myself, or just little things. I think for people with IBD, every day should be a birthday, but I think when it's your birthday, it's a nice treat to give yourself a reason to pat yourself, double on the
it
back.
is.
I think that's really
Because
important.
there's good in every day, and it's important to focus on that and to really do something every day that's enjoyable and fun and positive.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I gotta say, I was telling you a little bit before we actually started recording, but I got my first pack of Beviva Foods. They came in the mail yesterday, so I opened them all up today, and they
Yay.
are delicious. I love the sweet potato chips. They're interesting because I've had them from the grocery store before, but these your Beviva chips they're almost like a slightly sweet. It's got a really nice texture, but a great flavor. The bag is not going to last the whole day. I already know I'm going to eat that. And the granola, I love the granola. I love crunch. Like, I love having a crunchy kind of food, and the ingredients, like you were talking about before, are just really simple. They're whole foods. I mean, it's just there's no crazy additives and all these weird things that you don't want to eat. It's just the sweet potato. There's rice. I think there's some coconut flakes in
Hmm.
there, but
Yeah.
just a really delicious, good for you blend.
That's so
So,
good to hear. Yes, I am really happy to hear when people try the products. And, at first I was worried. Well, the people here in America usually like to have very salty and sweet preferences.
hmm,
I wonder how they're going to take these products, because there's no salt and there's really no sugar in these products, hardly. And surprisingly, maybe it's just the audience is just getting more comfortable with just wholesome products. Like, you don't add sugar when you eat, well, I guess you do. Some people add sugar to sweet
yeah.
potatoes, right? But
Most of the
really,
sick Americans do, but
right. But it's sweet enough by itself, right? You don't really need to
yes,
add more sugar. And so the whole
exactly.
crunchiness, though, is one thing that we have to maintain. We do like
Hmm.
crunchy. And so when we can get something that's wholesome but gives you that satisfying crunch and that convenience, like the chips are in a resealable bag, in trying to imply that you don't have to eat them all at once.
Yeah.
So
Trying to imply,
trying to
but
imply. So, a lot of times we just keep eating because of the flavor. It's addictive. You finish the whole
yes,
bag, right?
it
Hmm.
is. But
Yeah.
your flavors are it's just the food. It's just the sweet potato.
Yeah, I know.
And it's addictive.
And I hope you can also, give the cup a try, the purple cup, when you go, if you're out and about for like a camp, if you're going hiking or camping, or going on the
Hmm.
plane. I always pass through TSA And I always like to take a picture of myself with my cup because I just pass through TSA with my purple. You just add water, and the purple milk is always a favorite for people to look at because it's purple. And I didn't realize how big oat milk was here until, I already had the product out. And then I hear oat milk is a big thing, and I was like, oh, that's nice.
That's
That works
awesome.
nice. So they worked hand in hand. So it worked out really well.
That's wonderful. So is
Yeah.
there anything that you're developing next or thinking about that you're able to share with us, or maybe give us a something to entice us with of what else might be coming out in the Beviva food line?
I'm excited that you're asking me that because a lot of times podcasts, I hear people talking about that. I'm like, oh, that'd be nice for someone to ask me. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I definitely want to add a beverage to this whole line so that people can be able to drink their purple.
Yes.
And I also want to then launch a second line similar to the whole purple line, but with another type of ingredient, another favorite. So that I'm going to hold off until I actually have that firm. But it will be
Okay.
kind of like a replicate of the whole purple line, but then a second line with the same, but just a different flavor.
Ah.
Other ingredients are the actually we've talked about today. And so really help with adding some variety and even other kinds of chips, other kinds of vegetables that are not commonly seen in North America. Many of them more Asian type vegetables. And although the flavors might be a little bit interesting at first, but with enough research backing up the reason why it's good for people with IBD is probably enough reasons for me to give it a try. Not want to do something that's already out. I kind of like to do things where people have never done. And
Yes.
so that's why I think I would definitely give it a try. And with, a growing following, I would definitely be able to reach out to customers and ask them what they think. So this is very different from before, as when I didn't have that. Now I have a group of people who believe in what I do. And I think that will really boost my confidence in launching something that might be a little bit risky, but I'll have some more, confidence in bringing it out.
I think you're building a dedicated following. You mentioned earlier you had one customer purchasing the Purpo all-in-one cereal cups by the hundreds.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Well, actually, no, because you're into fitness a lot. I actually am very impressed with how much fitness you've done since you were like 10, I think, right? You've done
For quite a
so
while, my whole
much.
life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So by understanding how, important it is to have, pre-workout food and post-workout food and being able to have something that's a little bit more hydrated, but that's not too heavy. Those were kind of the words and the phrases that I heard from customers that tended to be people who were on the go all the time. And, and actually my slogan is tummy friendly snacks on the hop. And
With the kangaroo.
with the kangaroo, but I had someone in Europe actually one time tell me, so do you know what on the hop means over here in Europe? I said,
What's it mean?
what's it mean? She's like, it means unprepared, as if he was warning me that that's not good to use. And I said, actually, that's perfect.
Because it's not prepared.
Exactly.
You prepare it, you mix it up, and then it's
Yes.
prepared and ready to eat.
Or that we are not prepared. We are not prepared to find a snack. So that's why we need to have purple, is because you're on the go, you're not prepared. And
It's true.
so a lot of these things are very interesting when you talk to people and learn from different cultures. And many people tell me that, oh, what is purple sweet potato? And I'm also very happy. There is purple sweet potato grown in California. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so that's really, it's great. And if you've ever seen a real purple flesh sweet potato, look out for them because there are differences. There are different purple sweet potatoes, some that are purple fleshed and some that are purple on the outside.
Where are they typically grown?
They are grown here, which is great. I've been buying them at some Asian stores have it, and some of the health food stores have it. The ones that are made in the purple product are from Taiwan. And they actually have they have a sweet potato museum over there because
Oh,
they
do they?
grow yeah, because they grow so much sweet potatoes. And Japan is also very popular, and if you ever wanted to look into it more, there's also studies about those who've lived long in terms of longevity, that sweet
Hmm.
potato is a staple item. And in certain countries, specifically purple sweet potatoes too.
Oh,
And
wow.
so
So
yeah,
interesting.
that was very interesting for me. Like, wow, didn't think of it. So, now being Thanksgiving coming up, this whole
Yes.
month of I've been cooking with sweet potatoes a lot in the kitchen.
Purple
Just
ones?
purple ones. I love purple ones, but I'll make all colors and just play with it and experiment with them.
I'm gonna
So
have to be on the lookout, see if I can find some sweet potatoes around me, see if I can bake one up and add more sweet potato into my
you
diet.
got it. I see so many people posting recipes, and I just love how they can be so creative. And one of the things I love is to be able to work with these people that are coming to me to say, "I want to try your product, and I want to make do something with it." And I'm so excited when people tell me they're going to do a recipe with it.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
awesome.
I love that.
I'm excited for your brand to grow, for the food line to grow, because I think real, whole unprocessed food has really become a major focus for not just IBD, folks, but for just fitness and health in general. I think people are looking for simple foods with simple ingredients, real foods, and you just hit the nail on the head with that. And I've noticed,
Thank
the
you.
more I get into the IBD community, I think a lot of people really are now starting to understand the impact that food has on our digestive system and just our overall health. And so I think it's coming at the perfect timing, and we definitely need it. And I'm sure you probably run into that a lot too, of just finding that people are wanting these type of foods and wanting to be able to heal themselves using foods and holistic and just natural ways, letting our body rest and heal and take care of itself.
Oh, definitely, because I would encourage if listeners haven't gone to any of your local conferences or events for IBD, definitely go. A lot of the doctors that are invited to speak actually talk a lot more outside of from what you hear from them during the appointments. They tell
Mm-hmm.
you a lot up close and personal. They tell you the perspective on eating and alternative methods or ways. And,
Mm-hmm.
as much as they are not saying that they don't work, they just can't support or tell you because of lack of research and lack of studies
Mm-hmm.
for many factors. And so when you are able to talk to them outside of the office and get to know people in the industries, usually dietitians or nutritionists are there, then you really are a lot more charged up to tackle your own eating lifestyle and diet. And it just things really take off from there. I think it's really important to realize that there are lots of things out there, from meditation, acupuncture, yoga. If anyone's ever heard of belly button healing, that's one.
Mm-hmm.
I know even for your rebounder, right?
Mm-hmm. I am,
Yeah.
yes.
So all those ways are out there. You just have to go out there, explore. I don't think anything here can hurt you. Nothing here
Mm-hmm.
has a side effect. It's just what you believe you want to try and then stick to it for a period of time before you can decide if it's suitable for you or not. I think that's really
Yeah,
key.
very well said. That is key. So we've been talking a lot about Beviva Foods and Purpo. And so if people want to learn more about these products and find these products and follow you and learn more about you, where can they do all of that online?
So the first place to go to is bevivafoods.com. I do my best to make it simple. From there, you can decide if you want to go on social media. Our handle is Beviva Foods to keep it simple.
Perfect.
And if
And you're
you
on pretty much all the social media,
we
correct? You're on
try.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
That's
Pinterest.
right. We try to be in most right now, I think would be mostly Instagram and Facebook more. So yes, I
Mm-hmm.
would love everybody to let me know, how if they've listened to me on this podcast, I would love to be connected. So they can email me as well, which would be Sylvia at bevivafoods.com.
Perfect.
And our products can be available on our website. They can also be found on Amazon. So you can just go to
fantastic.
bevivafoods.com/Amazon, and we have a little store there. And I'm looking at growing. I'm looking at helping people find Beviva in Purple when they're traveling at airports, hotels, in hospitals, in college campuses. We get a lot of interest from these few areas I just mentioned. And so, yeah, I would love any questions or suggestions will always be welcome.
That's fantastic. Well, I can't believe how fast an hour has already flown by.
Oh, but I tried to keep it simple.
Yeah. And we just scratched the surface, really, though.
Oh, well, I do want to say, if it's anything, I know one of the questions you had mentioned is, what do I want people to know about the disease? Is that
Yeah.
IBD stands also for incredibly brave and determined. So
I love
a
that.
big applause to everybody who has IBD, who has done so much to, fight for their health and to keep up with it, to try new things, but always get medical attention first, and just study and follow your gut. That's ultimately what it's all about.
Follow your gut. I love it. Is there anything else that I didn't ask today that you wanted to share before we get ready to wrap up?
I think we can leave that for the next episode.
Okay. When you launch that second line.
That sounds good. That's a good target for me. That's great, Stephanie. I appreciate that.
That'd be wonderful. I'd love to have you back on. So
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for talking with me today. I love just your perspective on life and balance and everything you shared today. So thank you so much for sharing your journey and introducing us to Purpo and just helping to raise awareness for IBD.
My great pleasure.
Are you ready to give Purpo a try? Find out for yourself how delicious and gut-friendly these on-the-go snacks by Beviva Foods are, and receive 15% off your order when you use code CFF15 at checkout. Visit crohnsfitnessfood.com/Beviva. Thank you for listening to the Crohn's Fitness Food Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have an IBD story, either as a patient or a family member that you'd like to share as a guest on this podcast, or if you have a topic you'd like to hear about, send me an email at crohnsfitnessfood@gmail.com. If you'd like to learn more about me and my Crohn's journey, follow me on Instagram using @crohnsfitnessfood, or visit my blog for in-depth articles about my struggles and victories with Crohn's through diet, fitness, and lifestyle at www.crohnsfitnessfood.com. And finally, remember, be strong, be grateful, and be the warrior that you are.